With Saturday of week one officially in the books, I want to take a few minutes and talk about the quarterback play that we saw yesterday and some on Friday and Thursday. And even though there are games on today, which is Sunday, and then on Monday, I want to take a few minutes just to kind of recap the quarterback play and kind of what we saw yesterday and just kind of talk about the notable performances and the big games as well. So let's go ahead and just kind of dive into it. So Clemson, Georgia, right? So I'm not going to say anything that you don't already know. I'm sure you watched the game. The story of the game was the defense, phenomenal defense, really fun to watch actually. But let's talk about the quarterback play briefly. And there wasn't too much to talk about because besides the pick six, the quarterback really didn't do that much. But here's an interesting stat from both guys, from both JT Daniels and DJU. Both their yards per attempt were under 5. And that's a testament to the defense and the fact that there was nothing they were not able to push the ball downfield whatsoever. JT Daniels did look better than DJU if we can compare the two. He was 22 of 30, only a buck 35 passing. So that's a 4.5 yards per attempt, and he had 1 interception. The biggest thing he didn't do was he just didn't throw that pick six, right? That 1 interception, I think that led to Clemson's 3 points. I can't remember. But regardless, for the most part, besides that pick, took care of the ball, had some underneath plays, had a few good throws here and there, but just Clemson's defense wasn't giving anything. DJU, 19 of 37, a buck 78, and 1 interception. That's 4.8 yards per attempt. And so the thing with DJU, he flashed a few times, kind of like JT Daniels, but he had that pick six, and he just looked awful, right? He didn't look at the same page with the receivers, had some kind of like freshman moments, if you will. So even a good, big, talented quarterback like DJU, it still takes time to kind of settle in, especially when you're playing that elite defense Georgia has. So not a ton to take away from. Biggest thing, looked like a freshman at times, DJU did, and he just wasn't on the same page with his receivers at times, but you expect that to clean up, especially this is probably the best defense they're going to see, and Georgia, this is the best defense Georgia's going to see as well. And so offensively, I'm not too concerned at all. I still think these are two really good quarterbacks. They just happen to play some elite defenses, and what Georgia tried to do was, had some short tunnels, some tunnel screens, some swing screens, but again, they weren't able to push the ball downfield, neither team was, but again, not too concerned about those quarterbacks. Let's move on to Bryce Young, Alabama. Probably the best quarterback performance of the whole weekend, if you will. They won 44-13 to Miami and just looked as good as advertised. He was 27 of 38. 344 yards passing and 4 touchdowns, 9.1 yards per attempt. Really pushed the ball downfield. They were up, I think, 27-3 at halftime, then just kind of coasted the rest of the way. So the big things that stood out with me from Bryce Young, he was just so comfortable and calm, right? Even when there was pressure in his face, he was comfortable. Even when there was no pressure in his face, there's a 3-man rush. He had all the time in the world. Very calm and poised and able to kind of process information. Another thing that kind of stood out was whenever he moved in the pocket or even rolled out, kept his eyes downfield a lot, right? So the receivers were able to come open. There's some wide open guys. Just Alabama was on just another level. No surprise there. But again, Bryce Young, probably the best performance of the weekend, especially playing a good defense. Eyes downfield. Was able to move in the pocket, be very calm, very poised, and just very, very comfortable. Regardless of if he was moving in the pocket, if he was rolling out, or if he was just staying in the pocket, it was very calm and comfortable, and kind of made it look easy, right? So no surprise there. Let's move on to Penn State and Wisconsin. Again, not a huge quarterback performance there by any means. But I still think it's worth talking about just such a big game, right? And again, similar to the Georgia-Clemson game, very good defense, kind of came down to the wire, but a very defensive-minded game, defensive-dominated game. And it kind of is similar to Georgia-Clemson again. The only touchdown Georgia-Clemson scored was that pick six. And even though Daniels threw an interception, the worst interception was DJU, and that's the team that lost the game. So if you look at Sean Clifford and Graham Mertz, Sean Clifford didn't throw interceptions, unless I totally missed it, but Graham Mertz had 2 interceptions and had several muff snaps and just rough exchanges, if you will, and they end up losing the game. So that just goes to show, even if you don't have great quarterback play, if you just take care of the football, you're going to have a chance. Let's look at Sean Clifford. He was 18 of 33, 247 yards, 1 touchdown. The stats look okay, right? But it looked like the exact same quarterback play as last year, which isn't necessarily bad if you just don't turn over the football. That's exactly what happened. I still think there's room for growth. I still think he can improve and have a good season, but it looked very similar to last year. Some off plays, some on plays, had some big plays, had some really big plays, but just kind of you want to see some more short to intermediate plays. But again, I want to give credit to the defense because Wisconsin's defense was stout, and again, Clifford took care of the ball and did what he needed to do to win. Graham Mertz looked a little shaky, 22 of 37, a buck 85, and 2 picks. And there were some drop picks as well. There's at least one, if not two, other throws that could have been a dropped interception. So that's a testament to Penn State's defense. And he just looked off a little bit, right? Just looked off. It had some muffed exchanges with the running back. So just some kind of weird, funky stuff going on. Great defense Penn State had. But again, Graham Mertz just didn't look very comfortable. Let's move on to the last kind of bigger game we're going to talk about. That's LSU UCLA. And this one surprised me a little bit. I thought LSU would be able to come out on top. And that was obviously not the case. Let's look at Max Johnson real quick. 26 of 46, 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Decent day. This is pretty good numbers. UCLA's defense did a good job keeping everything in the front for the most part. Kayshon Boutte, the wide receiver for LSU, was able to get away. He had a big game, but besides him, there really wasn't a much. There really was not a bunch of stuff going on for LSU's offense. And Max Johnson looked like a young quarterback, which was expected against that UCLA defense, which was as good as not as good as against Hawaii, but yes, there was a drop off, but they didn't let the big plays really happen. And so UCLA's defense was stout. A lot of kind of unique defensive packages, unique defensive blitzes that they were able to do, a lot of pre-snap to post-snap stuff that was hard to process. And Johnson did good at times, was able to process it at times, but then there were times he would just be falling back too much and just kind of throwing off his back foot as opposed to making quick, decisive reads. Also, first-time play caller for LSU. There's some things that probably could have done differently. I'm sure they'll go back and watch the film and be like, man, we could have attacked here, attacked there. But that's hindsight 2020. So Max Johnson, I think a decent game, but definitely the team overall did not play well enough to win. That's not on Max Johnson. They scored 27 points. So a lot of room to improve there. But I still think that, he did some decent things against that defense. And DTR, his biggest thing was they had some big plays, right? LSU's defense actually played pretty decent for the most part, besides allowing big plays. There weren't a bunch of short to intermediate plays going on, but there's the big plays that DTR was able to complete, and of course the running game as well. DTR was only 9 of 16, but with 9 completions, had 260 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, had 1 interception. Was a great pick by Eli Ricks. But yeah, big game for DTR. Just all he needed was the big plays, and so UCLA is going to be good this year, and LSU looked to bounce back. So those are kind of the big games that we're going to talk about. Let's mention some notable quarterback plays that really stood out to me, and we're not going to talk about the bad quarterback plays, if you will. We'll save that for other people that will that have the critical analysis. I just want to kind of notes and highlight some good quarterback play. So let's look at Michael Pratt from Tulane. Almost had the upset against OU, a guy we really liked last year, who's a starter as a true freshman for Tulane. Had a good game, 27 of 44, 296 yards passing, 3 TDs passing, 34 rushing yards, and 1 touchdown on the ground. Again, Michael Pratt from Tulane almost had the upset, lost 40-35 against OU. Desmond Ridder, 5 total touchdowns against Miami, Ohio. Nothing really to remark there, except he kind of picked up right where he left off, and since he steamrolled him. Hudson Carter, I want to spend a little time talking about. You can probably see the Texas hat in the background, so we are in Texas. So let's spend a few minutes talking about Hudson Carter. So I think it was a great debut for Hudson Carter. He's 14-21, 224 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and had 1 rushing touchdown as they beat Louisiana 38-18. A good Louisiana team as well. And so the things that I took away from Hudson Carter is he looked in command of the offense, had a very good feel for it, looked very comfortable, but very accurate downfield. And that had a lot to do with this decision making, getting the ball out quick, and just being decisive in his decision making, right? And so when you're decisive, you get the ball out quick, and you have a strong arm, as Hudson Carter does, that leads to accurate throws. You also saw him use his legs to buy time, right? So he had that rushing touchdown, but besides that, he was able to escape pressure sometimes, just use his legs to get out and buy times. Picked up a big first down on one of the first or second drives, whatever their first scoring drive was. Had a big first down with his legs. So you're going to see him run the ball this year, but it's going to be more to buy time and set up the passing game. And they did play Casey Thompson as well, who had at least 1 touchdown leading drive. I believe just 1, maybe more. But regardless, he looked good as well. Let's go on to Will Levis. We'll touch on him real quick. Quarterback for Kentucky, making his first start for Kentucky. 18-26, 367 yards passing, 4 TDs, 1 pick. It was against UL Monroe, but it was nice for Kentucky fans to see the offense drive the ball downfield. Tuele, I'm so bad. Tua's younger brother. I can't even pronounce the last name yet, so I apologize. From Maryland, 332 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Looked great against West Virginia. That was a good game. And then Frank Harris from UTSA in the upset against Illinois. I think they're only 4 or 5 point underdogs, depending on what bookie you were using. So, but still a good win on the road for UTSA. 280 yards passing, 2 total touchdowns, 1 through the air, 1 on the ground. Carson Strong from Nevada leading Nevada to win against Cal last night. I forget the exact score, but he was 22 of 39. Excuse me, talking a lot. 312 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Excuse me again, 1 interception. Big time throw. He had a big time throw. I think it was their first touchdown from about midfield that really showcased his arm strength. And I think he's someone that you'll see more and more of this year. Of course, big year last year, but good game and big game to get that win against that Pac-12 opponent in Cal. Last guy we're talking about real quick, Chris Reynolds from Charlotte, a guy that we've talked about a lot the past few years. If you've kept up with any of our stuff, 324 yards passing, 3 passing touchdowns, 37 yards rushing, and 1 touchdown on the ground as they upset Duke. So that's kind of our instant reaction, our big recap from week 1. I want to hear from you. What quarterbacks did I miss? Did I miss some quarterback storylines? What quarterbacks are you looking forward to next week? And what was your biggest takeaway from just the quarterback play in general from week 1? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like all the stuff. If you like the videos, but just give us a subscription if you like quarterback-related content. We put out quarterback stuff throughout the week. Again, let me know in the comments below what your most notable quarterback play or quarterback storyline was, and we'll see you next time on the next quarterback related video.